Hello, bonjour, здравствуйте, assalamu alaikum, guten tag, hola, bonjour, konnichiwa, ni hao, hello, and a warm welcome, ahlan wa sahlan bikum, to the Knitters Party podcast. My name is Megan, I'm your host. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Meg311yo. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you might want to, because I am coming to you today from my new semi-permanent location in Cairo, Egypt. We did finally arrive after much deliberation and many postponements and everything, but we are finally here in Cairo, Egypt. I will be doing a separate series, sort of like an Egypt vlog, but for this particular podcast, I'm just going to be talking about my knitting. I have a little bit of crochet and just my crafty goodness in general. But like I was saying, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you really should. I am posting pictures about my sort of day-to-day life in Egypt. That's where you're going to get more of the updates about my actual life as opposed to just knitting. Of course, I definitely still post knitting pictures, much to my friends' dismay, on Instagram. So do go ahead, follow me there. Again, that's Meg311yo. We also do have a podcast group in Ravelry. It's called the Knitters Party Podcast. So you can just jet on over to Ravelry and join our group if you'd like. I'm going to put all the information in the down bar below, so no need to worry about all of that. Awesome. Let's get right into it, right? I am so excited to be coming to you today. It's been a long time since my last episode. We've had a lot going on. Needless to say, we ended up spending 9 days in a hotel before we found an apartment. And since we've moved into our apartment, we've had to install internet. We've had plumbers coming and going, and they're coming again today later. We've had electricians coming in, so there were a few things that needed to get done. And anyway, I've had lots of time to knit and crochet, which has been really awesome, but it's just been a slow start to Egypt so far. But again, more on that in my Egypt vlogs. Go ahead and take a look at those if you are interested. Cool, let's get right into my finished objects. First of all, I have learned that the Arabic word for knitting is actually the French word for knitting, which is tricot. And so here, if you are talking about knitting, there's the official Arabic word, which is hayaka. But apparently that's like a swear word or some bad word. I don't actually know what the cuss word means exactly, but apparently you shouldn't use hayaka, even though that literally means knitting. So you use tricot, which is the French word for knitting. And anyway, that's just sort of fun little fun fact about Arabic language. At least here in Egypt, they call it tricot instead of hayaka. All right, let's get into my first finished object. I made pasties. Yeah, these are 2 crocheted pasties. I need them because I have sort of like content warning, like boob alert, oh my god, we're talking about breasts, get over it. So anyway, I have this one bra that has like no lining at all, and so sometimes, you know, your nipples show through. Well, here in Egypt, that is like completely unacceptable, totally not what I want to be doing on a day-to-day basis, sort of like going around, you know, with my nipples hanging out. So I decided to crochet some pasties because that bra is my favorite. It's so comfortable. It is like easy and breathable because it doesn't have all that padding. It's really breathable and nice, but I needed to have some pasties. So the reason that I made these the size that I did is because I sort of, you know, of course this is just crochet. By the way, this yarn is Eurobaby Nurture in the Colorway Baby Shower. So just like a nice pastel green. And this is left over from the Tuva hat that I knit for Pam that I forgot to give her. Oops. Sorry, I know that Pam watches the podcast too. You've got a hat coming your way. I don't have it with me, it's in Michigan, so maybe my sister can help you get it sometime. Anyway, this is leftover yarn from that. So these pasties, I made them this size because I sort of tried it on, did a little dry run when it was a little bit smaller, and I realized that they were going to shift just a little bit in my bra. And so I wanted to have a little bit of extra room so that if they shift, you know, up, down, anywhere around, that it's still going to cover what I need it to cover. And so when I'm wearing a bra, this is sort of thick because it's crochet, it's a lot denser fabric than knitting. And so basically, I just like knit it and it's thick a little bit. You can see it a little underneath my bra, but it's a hell of a lot better than seeing my nipples popping out. And so that's that. I have crocheted myself a pair of pasties. There's no pattern for this. I just crocheted. I started off with 6 stitches, and then the first round you increase in every stitch. The next round you crochet 1, then increase, so it's every other stitch, then every 2 stitches, every 3 stitches, every 4 stitches, basically until you get a nice little hexagon. And instead on the last row, so normally when you single crochet twice into the same stitch, sort of in a line, it creates a hexagon shape. And so the last row I did basically like, so if my increases are here, I did an increase in the middle of there so that it would round it out a little bit. It ended up working out pretty well. And this is cotton. This is a cotton-based yarn. I definitely did not want wool. I didn't want acrylic. And actually, I haven't even washed this yet, which is pretty gross because I've been wearing them a little bit. Haven't washed them yet, but they're really soft on obviously some really sensitive skin. So anyway, those are my crocheted pasties. I'm pretty proud of myself. You're welcome, internet. So my next finished object is actually what I spent most of my time working on. And if you do follow me on Instagram, then this is like definitely no surprise. But I finished my Britannia sweater. Oh my god. I am so excited about this. It is absolutely wonderful. The last time you guys saw it, I was maybe up to here on just knitting the body. And so I finished the rest of the body. I've knit the sleeves. I've cast everything off. I've weaved in all my ends. The only thing I haven't done is block it. And let's talk about that for a second before I get into all the yarns and the pattern and all that stuff. Here in Egypt, we brought with us 2 towels, and those are towels that we had brought, or that we had purchased when we were living in Alexandria, Egypt, in the fall of 2016. And we literally brought 2 towels. We're like, you know what, we're here for 8 months. We're not gonna buy a million new things. And hopefully the furnished apartment that we have is going to have towels. So fast forward, we get to our apartment, no towels, no sheets, no pillows, no blankets. We basically just have the basics. And so we purchased a lot of the necessary items. We purchased sheets and blankets and pillows, but we're like, okay, good thing we brought these 2 towels, but we don't have an extra towel. And so when I want to block my knitting, I realize I have no towel to sort of like, you know, get all the water out, press it out, and like lay flat to dry. And so I'm not sure when I'm gonna do this. It would have to be on laundry day. But before I do the laundry, I'm gonna have to wash all my knits, press them out in my 1 bath towel, and just hope for the best. So anyway, that's why it hasn't been blocked. This fits me so well right now as well. I'm almost worried to block it because I don't want it to stretch out anymore. There's right now like probably about 0 ease, but with all the lace in the front, I know that that's going to open up really, it's going to open up a lot, and I don't want it to be too big on me. So, modifications. I made a million modifications to this. First and foremost, I used fingering weight yarn, even though the pattern calls for DK weight. And that was because I don't need a DK weight sweater anywhere. I'm living in Egypt. Today it's been cold. It's been about like mid-60s since we've arrived. But today and then next week it's supposed to get up into the mid to high 80s, which is like probably mid to upper 20s Celsius. Anyway, it's gonna get hot. And so I like definitely do not need a DK weight sweater. A fingering weight is good enough. So anyway, that's the first modification. The second and probably the biggest modification is that the cable down the center here is not the cable in the pattern. So this is the Britannia sweater by Tin Can Knits, but for this cable down the center, I used the cable from the Celtic Cables Neck Warmer by Lindsay Hendricks, and that's because I liked it better. So you just substitute it out. I ended up having to add like 2 purl stitches on either side just to make my counts the same as the counts on the pattern because I didn't want to have any, you know, gauge issues, whatever. But that's that. This is the extra large size. Normally I would have knit the 2XL. If I were knitting this according to gauge, I would have knit the 2XL, but I knit this on size 9 needles. Yeah, US 9. Which I'm not sure of the millimeter, sorry about that. So I knit this with fingering weight yarn on size 9 needles, and it created a really loose gauge. Here, you can see my stockinette on the back. It's really loose, it's really open, and that's perfect. I want it to have a little airflow. It's really drapey, but I definitely like didn't exactly follow gauge, and so I was like, well, I'll knit loosely, I'll knit a size smaller because I know that with all this lace in the front, it's gonna open up. Anyway, it fits perfectly right now. I'm worried to block it out and make it bigger than it is because I really don't want to. And it's super washable, so you know it's gonna grow. By the way, tips and tricks right here. Sorry, a little interjection. When people say that superwash wool grows, What they mean is that like when you block it, it's going to grow wide rather than long. And so I've learned through the years that if you're knitting a sweater and you expect it to grow a little bit when you block it out, when you wash it and lay it flat to dry, it will only get wider. It will not really get longer. And so if you're hoping to get an extra inch or two of length, you might be able to get a tiny bit, but don't expect 4 inches or, you know, any significant amount of length to be added to it. However, let me contradict myself right now. I got lazy with the sleeves, and so the sleeves are just maybe an inch and a half too short. So when I finally do wash this and block this, I'm going to see if I can stretch this out massively and get it to hold a longer sleeve. I don't want to have to rip this out and re-knit just an inch on the sleeves. And I already did that actually, but I don't want to have to do it again. And so once I wash it, I'm going to lay it out. I'm going to stretch this to high heaven, try to block the life out of this and get an extra inch or two on my sleeves. So that's what I'm hoping. We'll see if that actually happens. The reason I'm not wearing it right now on on camera is because this color, okay, about the yarn, yes. This is Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock in her colorway Grape Jelly. And this is what I have left of it. I actually had a smidge more, but I used it to swatch something else. But this is Sweet Georgia Tough Love Sock in her colorway Grape Jelly. And this is a 75-25, 80-20 superwash merino and 20% nylon. And I bought this in Canada at River City Yarns. I'm sure I've showed you this yarn a million billion times. But anyway, so the color blows out on camera. It is a true purple color. One more thing I will tell you about this sweater. On the bottom, I did not alternate skeins. I purchased 3 skeins of yarn for this project, and that's it. So yeah, big girls. I'm like a 2X normally. If you have been told that you need 5 to 6 to 7 skeins of fingering weight yarn to make a project, that would just be at a very, very dense fabric. I purchased 3 skeins of this, which is 100 grams, I want to say. Let me see exactly how much is in here. So 3 skeins, 425 yards per skein. So this is 115 grams. So it is a larger skein compared to the average, I guess 100 gram skein. But I have a nice little chunk left over. And I had 3 skeins of yarn and I knit myself a full length high neck sweater. There is no V-neck. It's a very, very mild boat neck. It essentially fits me the way this sweater does now. And so yeah, don't let anyone tell you that you need a very expensive amount of sweaters quantity yarn. 3.5 skeins, 4 skeins will definitely do it if you are okay with a loose gauge for your sweater. So don't worry about it. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg, even though I did. Pretty sure I spent like $26 a skein on this. It would have been Canadian dollars, so like maybe 80 cents on the dollar American. Anyway, long story short, don't let anyone tell you that you need all the yarn in the world just to knit a project. If you're okay with a loose gauge, go with what you want. You know, if you have 4 skeins of yarn, make it work. Just swatch a little bit and you'll be able to get it. Don't be afraid of big needles with fingering weight yarn. It might feel awkward at first, but you'll get really used to it. So anyway, I did not alternate skeins on the bottom, and so there's a little bit of pooling, like the swirl of the lighter on the darker purple. It's only noticeable on camera. When it's in person, you don't really notice it. The back is probably better. When it's in person, you don't notice it as much, but I don't care. I still love it. I'm never going to take it off. Once I wash it and stretch out those arms a little bit, I'm going to wear this, but not outside. I'm just going to wear it around the house, and that's maybe it. And maybe it'll work. Like maybe once or twice I'll wear it to work. We'll see. So yeah, it's totally perfect for Egypt. It's got a really high neck. I wear this with I have like an undershirt. It's not even an undershirt. It's sort of like a blousey shirt, but it's got a really high neck as well, and it's just sort of flowy. And it looks really good because it's an olive green underneath this purple. And it looks fantastic. And then the shirt sort of peeks out the bottom and sort of covers my bum a little bit. It's really ideal. Anyway, I am so excited. I've only knit a handful of sweaters. Like this is now my 4th garment that I've made, and it's by far my favorite. And so I'm really excited to, you know, have it. I have a million project pictures on Ravelry, so if you are interested in seeing more pictures of me actually wearing this beautiful sweater, definitely go over to my Ravelry page. I'll put a link in the down bar as well, where you can check out my pictures and see how it looks on me, because it looks fucking awesome. Hell yeah. You know, I hate people when they're like, oh, you're so like, you know, you're not modest about what you're doing. And I'm like, why would I be modest about my knitting? I'm really good at it. I have really great taste in patterns. I am able to modify the shit out of anything I do. I'm not gonna be modest when I know it looks good, it fits well, I feel proud, and like I feel really happy to wear my knits. So yeah, I'm gonna brag about it, okay? If you ask me if this is handmade, I'll tell you the story. Yes, it is. Absolutely it is. So anyway, that's my Britannia sweater by Tin Can Knits. Brings me a lot of pride, and I'm just really happy to have it finished and get to wear it whenever I want. So that's that. All right, taking a small break, and then I'm gonna come back for my works in progress. Cheers. So I'm back with a drink in my hand. I forgot that I normally drink a beer on the podcast, but since we're in Egypt, I'm not going to be drinking beer for a while. So I figured I would share with you some of the fun other drinks that are available widely in Egypt. The drinks that are so popular, if you go out to a restaurant or whatever, are going to be fresh juices. And by fresh juices, I don't mean like orange juice, mango, like, you know, pineapple juice, whatever. They have real juice that they will blend fruit in a blender with a little bit of water, maybe some ice, and it is friggin' amazing. So my favorites are strawberry juice and mango juice, like fresh. You can see them make it in front of you, but they also drink a lot of milkshakes. And so like Oreo milkshakes, vanilla milkshakes, what have you. It's amazing. But they also have some really fun sodas. So the Middle East is known for just having creative drinks because a lot of people don't drink alcohol. So they have fun sodas and whatnot. So what I'm drinking today is called Schweppes Gold. It is a pineapple soda. This is my first time having it this round in Egypt. This is now my fifth time in Egypt. My third time living in Egypt. I've lived in Alexandria twice. This is my first time in Cairo. Anyway, so I've had this before. I'm pretty sure it's good, but I forget. No, it's fantastic. This is a pineapple flavored soda, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's really sweet. But quite delicious. So Schweppes Gold, if you can find this where you are, give it a taste. It's pretty delicious. All right, let's move on to our works in progress. I'm going to start with this one because it's just friggin' killing me, dragging me down, still on my fucking needles, can't handle it. These are my Hermione's Everyday Socks. I have not thought about these or even looked at them in a long time. I knit on them a little bit when we were staying at our hotel. But I realized quickly that like in low lighting, I cannot see this yarn. And so I can't really knit it at night. I don't want to knit it during the day because I've had like my beautiful sweater that is so much prettier and better colored for nighttime knitting. Anyway, why would I knit on socks when I could knit on something way more fun? Not to mention these are gifting socks. So I don't even really get to keep these at the end. We'll see. I might just knit these for myself and never give them to the intended person. But point is, I hate knitting socks, and so these are going to take me a very long time to finish. These are my Hermione's Everyday Socks by Lueder, and the yarn is Malabrigo sock yarn, which is just 100% merino. There's actually no nylon in this, but it makes it so soft and really beautiful and nice. Anyway, this is the color Wales Road. I love it. It's an absolutely beautiful colorway. Blues, purples, teals a little bit. My friend who this is for loves these colors. I know she's gonna love the socks. What's funny is she was actually the recipient of my very first ever pair of socks. I made a pair of worsted weight acrylic socks back when I was first learning, and they were hot pink and hot green, and she still has them. God bless her. And she was like, you know what, all my other friends were asking for hats, and she's like, you know what, I'd love a real pair of socks. And so I was like, absolutely, like coming right up. So these are them. I haven't knit very much, but I'm done turning the heel. Like I mentioned last episode, I'm adding a little bit of ribbing to the bottom of the foot so that it's nice and tight against the skin. But we'll see. I hate this project. It's taking too long because I don't work on it. It's really not that. I think for my next pair of socks, I'm going to try and knit them one at a time. I think part of my problem is that 2 at a time socks, especially on this length of cable, it seems like it's long enough, and it is long enough, but somehow like my socks always get taut and they're just, it's uncomfortable to work on. And so I'm gonna have to do 1 at a time socks. The last time I did socks 1 at a time, I actually used double pointed needles, and that was when I was test knitting a pair of socks for Everyday Yarn Works. It was an amazing pattern. And because I was on a test knit, I had to like actually do it and finish it. And I found that those socks were much more enjoyable. I love wearing them. They're also bright yellow and cheery and cheerful and everything. But I think I liked the progress that I saw with one at a time socks. I don't love DPN so much, so I might knit them on circulars. But we'll have to see, especially because I've got some of these like beautiful yarns. These are all like sock bases. Actually, I should really make socks out of this yarn. This is Ancient Arts yarn. I think it's just 100% merino. It's a really light worsted, fine. It's for socks anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna just do one at a time socks, and maybe I'll do these ones because this is my yarn stash. This is pretty much all the yarn I have. I have like 4 balls that aren't on the wall, but they're not exciting. But this is everything I have brought to Egypt. My parents are coming to visit in March, and I might have them bring yarn with them if I feel like I need to. We'll see if I need to. It's only a month and a half away, and so we'll see how much I knit through, but we'll see. Anyway, I want to have a project on the needles that has like maybe one thing of Knit Picks yarn, one thing of really special yarn, and then maybe one of like the single skeins that I brought, just like single skein fingering. So maybe I'll make a pair of socks for myself next. I love this colorway. I don't remember the name. I'll put it in there. But yeah, so I'm thinking the next pair of socks that I make will have to be one at a time. But what do you think? How do you guys like knitting socks? Let me know in the comments below. Are you like a definite 2 at a time? It must be 2 at a time. Are you like a 9-inch circular sort of fan? How do you feel about like, you know, using just merino instead of adding nylon? Like, what are your sock preferences? Because I hate knitting socks, but I feel like it's because I haven't found the socks that I love to knit just yet. And so I'm still working on my recipe, but I've knit like 4 pairs of socks, maybe 5 pairs of socks ever. I just don't find it enjoyable. And it's not even the small needles that bother me. I don't know what it is. Anyway, we'll have to deal with it. So that's my Hermione's Everyday Socks for my friend, living in my one and only project bag that you see every week. Hooray! And this is from Nola Delille Designs. I got this for Christmas a couple of years back. My one and only project bag. And I think the reason I don't knit on these more is because they're locked away in a bag where I can't see them, and so I don't have the constant reminder. Like all my other knits just sit out on my countertop and they're just out in front for everyone to see, all in my face. And so unless I'm traveling, my knits are very consistently just all around the house scattered. And so this, for it to be living in a project bag, means that I never look at it, I never see it, and it never calls for me to knit. So maybe I'll have to leave this one out on a countertop. Ah, sucks. I know there's some avid sock knitters out there, but I am just not one of them. All right, for my next thing, I can't decide. I have two more works in progress that I'm actively working on. Sort of 3, but one of them is a secret knit, which I can't tell you until maybe my birthday. But I'm gonna go with this one because, oh, my other yarn ball is tucked inside. All right, So I was so excited when I finished my Britannia sweater by Tin Can Knits that I immediately cast on my next sweater, which I am quite far along on. This is going to be the Owls sweater by Kate Davies. Yes, Owls by Kate Davies. Everyone has seen this sweater. It's the bottom-up sweater with the yoke of owls, and then you add like buttons for their eyes. Oh my god, I'm so excited to be knitting on this. And again, I have done a million modifications. So the pattern calls for bulky or chunky weight yarn. I thought that the yarn I chose was going to be good enough. Ah, here it is. This is Knit Picks City Tweed Heavy Worsted in the colorway Lemon Curd. And I absolutely love this colorway. It's a really nice, like a soft yellow. It's not like super bright neon or anything. And it's got nice little specks, like the tweed is like white and black, sort of like a creamy white, so it's not stark contrast, but like a white and black little tweed. And I purchased 6 balls of yarn for this. This right here is about maybe 13 or 14 inches of the body, and I'm just finishing my 2nd ball of yarn. So I think I might have a little bit extra, which would be fun because maybe I'll make a hat or something. We'll see. We'll see. I don't want to have any leftover yarn. I want to leave Egypt with nothing but knit projects and like no skeins. I know that's not going to happen, but that's my goal. So anyway, this pattern by Kate Davies. I have a couple of gripes with this pattern. The final sweater turns out beautiful. There's no doubt about that. I've seen a million pictures. It's so popular on Ravelry, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to knit one of these. But there is some very aggressive body shaping in this. And so, like, mind you, my gauge is off, and so I ended up making the largest size, but using a gauge that I liked the fabric for. And so I would normally have chosen like this, there's sizes 1 through 8. They don't go up to like, you know, large, extra large, whatever. Anyway, I was gonna do the size 6. I'm doing a size 8 because my gauge is very, much more dense than the gauge in the pattern. Because again, the pattern calls for chunky. I'm using heavy worsted. And so I'm just doing what I like. This is going to be a very warm sweater when I'm done. But what have you. Anyway, the waist shaping. These 2 markers right here are for the back shaping. And how the project calls for it is you're supposed to decrease 1 on either side of both markers. So you're decreasing 4 stitches per round that you're decreasing, right? And so in a bulky yarn, 4 stitches is like 1.5 inches for each one that you're closing up. Maybe maybe 1 inch is 4 stitches. So you're closing it at inch every time you go up. And it calls for 4 decreases and then 4 increases again, very in quick succession. And then you also do side shaping. I was like, this is gonna be the weirdest fitting sweater, especially because I want mine to be sort of like a little positive ease. If it's a bit bulky, that's okay. I would prefer it to be loose as opposed to skin tight, like how the pattern calls for like negative ease of like maybe 1 inch or 2. I don't want negative ease, I want positive ease. So anyway, I'm modifying this heavily because I do not want as much waist shaping and back shaping. So anyway, instead of 4 rounds of decreases, I did 3. Instead of, you know, adding all these things every 3 rows, which would have been like, you know, I would have been finished with all my decreases in like a 3-inch span. I spaced mine out a little bit. And so I'm hoping that it fits well, whatever. At the end of the day, I could block it out to whatever I need. But then there's like side shaping. I just don't get it. It's too aggressively shaped for me. I just think it needs to not necessarily be a square body because that doesn't work for everybody, I understand, but it needs to be a little different. So anyway, that's my only concern about this pattern is that I feel like it's a little too aggressively shaped. But what can you do? I still love it. I think I love it because I'm loving this yarn. And I'm pretty far along too. I'm really excited because I could theoretically have another sweater by my birthday. I'm really hoping that all these projects are like off the needles next episode. By the way, my birthday is February 16th, if anyone is interested. Yeah, so February 16th is my birthday. I will be podcasting on that day, I'm sure. And hopefully I'll be wearing my owl sweater. So that's that. I have a little bit further to go. I actually haven't really read through the pattern because it's bottom up and there's a yoke. I know that I'm going to be adding the sleeves and probably connecting them right here. So I'm wondering if I am going to stop knitting on the body, knit the sleeves bottom up, and then, oh, excuse me, and then like join it in the round and continue knitting the sleeves and the yoke of the sweater all together. I think that's what's happening. But because my gauge is off, I'm going to have to really pay attention and make sure that my like arm socket is deep enough because my gauge is totally off. And so I wouldn't want to join the underarm and then start the yoke right away because then I'd be left with like owls way down here and it's supposed to be a pretty high neck sweater. I'll just have to pay attention to it, but I'm pretty good at that, so I'm not worried. So yeah, my owl sweater by Kate Davies. I'm really excited about this. And that's that. For my last work in progress. Oh my God, this is so tasty. My last work in progress is right now my favorite. And it's for a number of reasons. I'm just gonna show it. Hold on, I have like my little tiny ball of yarn scrap. This is the beginnings of a really seriously beautiful shawl. This is the Stone Croft shawl by Judy Marples. And this is going to be a gift knit for my mother. The reason this is my favorite is like, probably like 5-10-fold. It's fun to knit, first of all. It has a complex design here on the edges, like a little bit of lace, another little motif, I guess you could call it, and then a bunch of stockinette. I just think this pattern is fabulous. So what you do, how it's constructed basically, is you like knit, I'm not going to show the pattern, it is a paid for pattern. You knit this as long as you want it to be. So it's an asymmetrical triangle. And then the bottom border where you like bind off is more of this lace on the side. So you have this lace on the side and on along the cast off edge as well. And then you're just left with all this beautiful, beautiful knitting. So I think the pattern is fantastic. Look at that lace motif. But also take a look at the yarn. This yarn is like high definition. The stitches, you can see everything. It's got a nice shine to it. I think the color is fabulous. And this is Knit Picks Paragon in the Kenai colorway. And so we picked this yarn because I had been dying to use it forever and ever. And they had beautiful colors too. But also look at this content. 50% fine merino, 25% baby alpaca, and 25% mulberry silk. This just has a shine to it and a super high twist. Like you can see in the yarn, it's so highly twisted. And I think that's what's giving this amazing stitch definition, because like this literally is like high definition. It's HD to work on. So even though the color is a bit dark, I can see everything when I'm knitting on this at night. Not only that, but it looks really complicated and it took me a while. There are like charts A through G, I think. So you have to go like, oh, you start off in the bottom, you know, it's sort of like setting up this. You start with chart A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever. I think I'm on chart F, which is like the repeat for all of them. I've just now memorized it, and so I can knit on this without having to have the pattern in front of me. It was really complicated for a while there. But I just think that this is absolutely stunning. Just look at how high definition those stitches are. So Knit Picks Paragon, right? Like, I'm dying. Let me tell you about my obsession with Knit Picks Paragon, because this started years ago when I was still living in San Diego. I was working for the University of California, San Diego, and I joined like their gym, so the UCSD student gym, whatever. Anyway, I would go there before I would go to work, and so I would wake up at like 5 a.m., go to the gym, and I would like sit there on the elliptical, and I would bring with me knitting magazines. And so I brought with me, I remember I got in the mail one of the Knit Picks catalogs, and I brought that with me to the gym. And for the first time I'm reading it, and all of a sudden I stop and it's like introducing Paragon, you know, like the brand new yarn from Knit Picks is Paragon. And I remember just like literally dropping my jaw. And I'm like, that is absolutely beautiful yarn. I can't handle how beautiful it is. The twist, look at the fiber content. I mean, 25% silk, alpaca, no, yeah, what is it? Silk, alpaca, and wool, come on. They have a beautiful range of colors, and I was like, I just need this in my life, you know? But it's sort of expensive. It's like $7, $6.89, I think, per 50 gram ball. And so it's like, you know, $15 for 100 grams. It's not cheap yarn. And so I was like dying to use it, but I never got the chance. And so I was buying my, my yarn stash for what I knew I was going to bring to Egypt. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to buy some Knit Picks Paragon because I'm dying to use it. I love their colorways, and I know that it's going to make a really beautiful special project. And it did not disappoint. And so I think my next yarn review is going to be for Knit Picks Paragon, and it's definitely going to get a 5 out of 5. But we'll see after I wash it. I'm going to also put a gleaner to it. Maybe I shouldn't try that with my mom's gift. I should maybe try that with my own. But I'm going to try and like clean it up a little bit, see how it wears for like a day or two, and then make a review about it, because I don't want to just walk in there and be like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Look at the silk. And then it, you know, falls apart a week later or what have you. So anyway, I am dying for this pattern. I'm just like living for it. I'm making one for myself after this. And so my mom and I looked at this pattern. She decided, yes, this is a great knit. She would love to have it. She chose the color for herself. And I was like, you know, I love that pattern too. I'm going to make one for myself. And so mine is going to be knit out of Paragon as well. And this is like the most untidy ball ever. Here's a better one. This is in the colorway Enchanted. These are going to be for my Stonecroft shawl. I'm on a purple kick apparently. And so I just love this color. It is different than the grape jelly colorway that I knit my sweater out of. So obviously I would not wear them together. That's like a little too matchy-matchy. But anyway, still like a really beautiful color. God, I actually like the Knit Picks better than I like this Sweet Georgia. Not true. Different yarn, different love. You can't do it. Anyway, so I'm making one for myself after this. Hopefully I'll have them both done by the time my parents come to visit. And what I would ideally love to do, I've got like all these plans in my head. I'm like, oh, because it gives me, there's like a few things that give me real pride in life. One of them is my knitting capabilities, right? Like I love to knit. I love wearing my hand knits. It makes me feel special and everything and really proud. Another thing that gives me a lot of pride is my like Arabic language skills. And so just being able to speak a foreign language and live in a foreign country, I mean, I think it takes a lot out of a person, and this is something that I've pretty much devoted my whole life to. I've been studying Arabic for 10 years. So anyway, what I want to do, and this is like so cheesy and stupid, is I want to take a profile picture of me like wearing all my hand knits while I'm at the pyramids, and then have that as my like profile picture everywhere on social media. So I don't care if it's LinkedIn or Ravelry or Facebook or Instagram, I don't even care. I just want like one beautiful picture where I am combining like my two of my most important passions is like Arabic and Egypt and knitting. And so I've got all these big plans. So anyway, when my parents come to visit in March, I want to take a mommy-daughter picture at the pyramids, both wearing our stone Croft shawl. We'll see how that works out, but yeah, God, this stupid charm just keeps wanting to like go backwards. Anyway, this is a nice little elephant charm. That's all. Okay, so this is my last work in progress, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's stunning. It's beautiful, and I think once I open up the lace a little bit with some blocking, it's just going to be perfect. So this is a paid-for pattern. Again, the Stone Croft Shawl by Judy Marples. I can't recommend it enough. It's fun to knit on. Once you memorize the charts, which does take a little bit of time, it becomes a lot more enjoyable. And so yeah, also Knit Picks Paragon. Just try it, guys. If you've thought about it like I have, like I've been drooling over this yarn for 2 years essentially now. And this is my first time knitting with it, and it did not disappoint. This is a sport weight yarn, by the way. That's that. Okay. I think that's all the knitting I have to share. Regarding Egypt a little bit, like I said, I'm going to be putting out smaller, shorter, like Egypt vlogs, and that's because my internet is really, really, really slow. I'm paying for 16 megabits per second, but my current speed is only about 2 megabits per second, and my upload speed is like even less than that. So I'm not even getting 1 megabit per second upload speed, which means a 45-minute video is probably going to take about 8 hours to upload to YouTube. Then it takes processing time, etc. So I'm going to try and keep my episodes right around that 45-minute mark, so I can hopefully just upload it overnight, which is like perfect for, I don't know, like it'll upload right in the middle of the night come North America. But hey, all of us Europeans and Africans and Asians on this side of the world will have nice content while you guys are sleeping. Haha. Anyway, I think that's just like the best that I can do realistically given what we've got. And so hopefully my internet will improve, but maybe not. Anyway, keep an eye out for an upcoming Egypt vlog. I will be putting one out, maybe even today. I think I'm gonna like walk to the Nile and just do a little vlog next to the water. It's a beautiful day outside, and it's a Friday, which means Friday is like the Goma prayer, and so the streets are like totally quiet. Nobody's out and about until after about 1 or 2 p.m. and then it starts getting a little bit more busy and exciting. So I might just go film a thing right now. Anyway, that's all I have. Thank you so much for joining me if you did. Hello from Egypt. I'm really excited, and I hope you like my knits. So I hope to see you on Instagram and Ravelry. If you made it this far, thank you. To all my new viewers as well, thank you. I've had a couple of new subscribers lately, and if this is your returning visit, I do appreciate you coming on back to hang out with me. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.